Hello Internet, it's me Josh, the Aging Gamer. So, let's go ahead and talk about superheroes. Growing up, my favorite were the Uncanny X-Men and the Amazing Spider-Man. But being a kid of the 90s, why wouldn't they be?
Spider-Man had an awesome cartoon series as well as a pretty cool toy line. I'll also never forget how amazing that Spider-Man cereal was too. X-Men on the other hand had a freaking amazing and very mature animated series that is, in my opinion, the best Marvel animated series to date. X-Men had their fair share of awesome toys and trading cards as well, and of course there was all the video games featuring both of these series.
So how mind-blowing is it to think that there was an actual video game crossover between Spider-Man and the X-Men? Well, is it any good? Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spider-Man and the X-Men in Arcade's Revenge. Good God, that theme is just so damn epic, I love it! So, Spider-Man and the X-Men is loosely based off the Uncanny X-Men issues 123 through 125.
The box art is also pretty interesting as the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis have completely different artwork despite being the same exact game. Even the costumes for the X-Men are all over the place. I mean, the box art, back of the box, and advertisements can't even fully agree with the in-game costumes. And also completely random, but at the end of the game in the Super Nintendo version, Cyclops has a full mask, whereas in the Genesis version, he has his hair out. That's weird. Anyway, let's get to the story of the game. The game opens with a cutscene of Spider-Man swinging around the city and seeing fellow X-Men being captured by the evil genius, Arcade. This brings us to the first level of the game where we play as Spider-Man. Our goal is to disarm some bombs. Each bomb has to be disarmed in a certain order, which sounds tedious, but thanks to Spider-Man's Spider Sense, you'll know where to go. Since we're playing as Spider-Man, here's what he can do. There's a button for shooting webs that'll let you attack enemies from a distance, there's a button for jumping, and there's a button that shoots out a grapple web. You can also climb on certain kinds of walls. Once you disarm all the bombs and reach the end of the level, you'll have another cutscene. Arcade has captured all the X-Men. Well, in this case, 4 of them: Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, and Gambit. So Arcade welcomes you to Murder World. To escape, each X-Men as well as Spider-Man will have to go through their own separate levels, fighting evil supervillains along the way.
So each hero has 2 of their own levels that they have to go through, and it's not going to be easy. Trust me. Let's go ahead and start with Wolverine.
So Wolverine is in a funhouse-themed level filled with evil clowns, trigger-happy jack-in-the-boxes, and buzzsaws coming out of the freaking ground. Delightful. So Wolverine's controls are pretty simple. He jumps, punches, and uppercuts. You can also pop out your claws to do more damage with your attacks. The downside of using your claws, though, is that your healing factor won't work, so use those claws sparingly. Your goal is to jump from platform to platform, scaling the level until you reach the boss. And can we take a moment to appreciate the frightening details in the background? I mean, look at this odd chattering teeth creature. And if you don't like clowns, well, you're not going to enjoy seeing this evil-looking son of a bitch everywhere. Trivia time, that clown is actually a reference to Marvel's own Obnoxio the Clown. Anyway, use your clawed uppercuts to tear up the walls. If you're running low on life, beat up those jack-in-the-box enemies without your claws to receive some health. Once you get to the end of the level, you'll face none other than Apocalypse, one of the greatest, most powerful X-Men villains, just hanging out in a funhouse. A bit weird, but whatever, all the villains in this game are androids created by Arcade anyway. So, to do damage to Apocalypse, you can only hurt him while he's in midair. Slice at him quite a bit and he'll eventually explode. Kablooey! Now we're moving on to Wolverine's second level.
Not gonna lie, this level took me days to figure out.
When you start the level, you'll notice that you're being chased by the Juggernaut, bitch. It seems that you're supposed to run away from him, cutting down anvils and weights to slow him down while you escape. However, the faster you run, the faster he runs. If you make it to the end of the level, congrats, you're dead. So the goal of the level is that you must destroy him. How? Well, start by slicing the shit out of him with your claws. This bastard is going to take a lot of hits to kill. Now here's something I didn't know about when first playing through this level. While you definitely want to cut down all the obstacles to hurt Juggernaut, they actually do a hell of a lot more damage than normal if you drop the items on top of him rather than in front of him. So yeah, drop items on him and keep shanking him and he'll eventually explode. Yeah! Now let's move on to Cyclops' level. His stage takes place in the underground mines of Genosha. Cyclops has the ability to jump, shoot from his visor, and can perform a swift kick that just looks ridiculous.
So before we get too into Cyclops' levels, I just want to point out that there's something in almost every single level, some kind of gimmick, some kind of setup, that just makes you think, wow, this game was developed by a real dick!
With Cyclops' levels, there's minecarts you have to ride in. If you miss jumping into a cart, you get electrocuted and die. There's also a lot of blind jumps, so expect a lot of trial and error. You'll be fighting off soldiers, these stupid hovering robots that chase you around, and what I'm assuming are Mole Man's subterranean followers. Watch out for these guys, as Cyclops' optic blast won't hurt them. Also, they throw their poop. I'm assuming. Once you get to the end of the level, you'll come face to face with a Sentinel. He shoots 2 different kinds of lasers and jumps around the screen. Just keep hitting him with your optic blast and you'll be good. Then we exit the stage. Now Cyclops' second level is more or less the same, just a slightly different background. Towards the end of the level, you'll fight another Sentinel and a crowd of bad guys. Pass by them and now you'll fight a real boss, Master Mold. Now in this fight, you gotta shoot him a lot. There's no real strategy other than dodge and shoot optic blast. First his arm will blow off, then his head, then eventually the rest. Kablooey. We'll now get into Gambit's levels.
As a kid, I could never survive longer than 30 seconds on this level, but hey, that was probably because I was suffering from the anxiety of a giant spike ball chasing me.
In this level, you want to keep moving forward. Gambit himself doesn't do much, just jumps and shoots cards. Be careful to not throw too many cards because you can run out. Luckily, most enemies will give you cards back if you kill them. So yeah, try to kill everything in your way, avoid hazards, and keep your card ammo full. Once you reach the end of the stage, you'll go against a boss, a giant playing card. I think that's supposed to be a reference to Hellfire Club's Sebastian Shaw. I couldn't find anything to confirm this, but the next level also features a member of the Hellfire Club, and one of Sebastian Shaw's aliases is the Black King. So I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. So this giant card will shoot lasers at you, just like everything else in this goddamn game, and will spawn enemies. That's actually a good thing, as killing these robots will give you a chance to refill your card meter. Once the card turns red, it becomes invincible. Wait for it to turn into its original color and spam those cards. Once it's hit enough, it will be defeated. Now we move on to Gambit's second level. This level's gimmick is that you'll be on a platform that will always be moving up, so try not to get squished. Once you reach the end, you'll fight against a giant version of Hellfire Club's The Black Queen. Stick to one side of the screen and watch out for, of course, lasers and fireballs. Start spamming those cards and you'll eventually blow off her arms. Jesus Christ. Throw some more cards and you'll eventually blow off her head too. Now she's defeated. Now let's move on to the last X-Men, Storm. Of course, her levels are gimmicky as well. Both of her levels have her in some kind of underwater maze. The downside is that you only have so much air until you suffocate. The upside is that your air also acts as your health, so if you get beat up, you can always go up for air to regenerate. I feel Storm's levels are a bit easier in comparison to other X-Men's as long as you take your time. So using Storm's lightning bolts, you must blow up these tanks here that will make the water rise. The tanks aren't quite puzzles, but you should definitely check your surroundings and use strategy when blowing them up. Through the stage, you'll also be attacked by piranhas, laser shooting squids, and scuba steves. Like I mentioned before, too many hits or if you suffocate, you die. Hear that scream?
That's the sound of a beloved X-Men screaming her final breath before she becomes a bloated, rotting corpse. It's pretty brutal, huh?
Once you get to the end of the stage, there will be a spinning-looking device that will shoot at you. Best strategy I can think of is just swim down to the bottom of the screen where it can't hit you and just start blasting it. Exit the stage and we move on to Storm's level 2. This level is pretty much the same as the first, except for at the end of this one, we don't get some awesome boss fight. Instead, we get these glass capsules that shoot at you. Shoot back at all 10 capsules and Storm's levels are now done. Now we move back to old Webhead. We're in a construction zone of some sort and there's robots everywhere. Blast everything with your web shooters. You're also going to have to learn to master the web grappling swing in this level because there's a lot of tight areas you're going to have to go through. Experiment pressing up or down while grappling to reach certain distances. About halfway through the level you'll find the Shocker. He'll jump around and shoot at you. Best strategy is to get on the same platform as him, dodge his blast, then duck and shoot web shots until he's defeated. Once he explodes, you'll get more life. Sweet. Continue your way through the level and you'll eventually fight Shocker yet again. Then you'll fight the stage's boss, Metroid's Ridley. Oh, well, maybe that's not Ridley. That's actually Naster? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he's just some D-level magic demon character from the comics. What an odd choice for an in-game villain. Just keep shooting at him. When he gets hit, he drops diamonds, because reasons. And when Spider-Man picks up the diamonds, his health regenerates, also because reasons. Blast him enough and he's defeated. Now, moving on to Spider-Man's second stage, we're just swinging around rooftops. Nothing notable about the stage here other than a few weather effects that will blow Spider-Man around if you're not careful. Reach the end of the stage and you'll fight not one, but two bosses at the same time, Rhino and Carnage. Rhino runs back and forth, running into walls. When he hits a wall, Spider-Man will drop to the bottom of the stage, unless you are already in mid-air, so try to time your jumps. Since Rhino doesn't target you like Carnage does, let's go after Carnage first. Carnage jumps around and throws symbiote goo at you. Chase him while also keeping your distance. Once you hit him enough, Carnage gets butt naked and disappears. Now we just got Rhino. To hurt him, you have to do grapple swings and hit him from behind. After enough times, he explodes! Yay! You will not play very short little levels as each X-Men. You'll just jump platform to platform, fighting the same bad guys from each X-Men stages. An interesting thing to note is that this is the only time you get to do a platform level as Storm. She can shoot lightning bolts in almost any direction. But what's up with that jump? Does she really have to spread her legs so far to do that? It looks ridiculous! Last, you'll do a short Spider-Man level where he descends down through the level until you reach the final boss room. You'll see the X-Men captured in a giant arcade robot. I know I've said it throughout the whole review, but the only real strategy is to dodge and shoot. Once Arcade's creepy-ass tank is destroyed, it will turn into a bouncy little machine. Once that's destroyed, it will turn into a tiny but quicker version of the tank. And once that's destroyed, multiple arcades will start popping out. Stay close to the walls and the recaptured X-Men will actually help you out. Once you destroy all the arcade robots, congrats, you beat the game. You get a cutscene showing everyone escaping, all to some classy sounding music. I almost expect Frank Sinatra to start singing at any moment.
And that's Spider-Man and the X-Men and Arcade's Revenge. So, let's talk about this game a little bit more.
Let's see, should I start with the good or the bad? Let's look at what this game does wrong first. Arcade's Revenge is the very definition of trial and error gameplay. Taking a look at Wolverine's Juggernaut stage is a pretty good example. Since the game came out in 1992, you're just plopped into a level with no explanation. Juggernaut takes so many hits, you think you're not even supposed to fight him, that you're supposed to run away, only to find out if you make it to the end of the level, you're screwed. After finding out you do have to kill him, there's gotta be a certain way to do even that. And going back to Cyclops' level, it's just too easy to die. There's a part where a whole platform just straight up crushes you without any clue that it was gonna drop. Also, everything in this game explodes, damaging you in the process. All of this just makes the game a little unfair. Yeah, the game is a lot easier once you know all the tips and tricks, like some of the stuff I've been giving throughout the review, but it's still a difficult game. I think this game could have really benefited from some simple additions, like checkpoints to all the levels, or not having so many enemies damage you as you kill them.
Or how about giving the player some goddamn continues? When you lose, get a game over, you start from the very beginning again.
As for the good things in this game, well, the soundtrack is pretty good. Seriously, this soundtrack rocks. Each track just fits each level so well, especially Spider-Man's. It just sounds so Spider-Man-like, like early post-Steve Ditko era, if that makes sense. Gambit's and Cyclops' themes just really get you pumped up too. I also love how much of the Marvel Universe is crammed into this game. There's a lot of characters and a lot of references here, even if some are more obscure like Obnoxio and
this guy. I also appreciate how each character plays pretty true to themselves without being overly complicated. I mean, this is an old game, so the controls have to be simple, but Spider-Man does everything Spider-Man should do. He shoots webs, climbs walls, and swings around. Wolverine regenerates health and can tear down walls with his claws. Each character feels pretty true to themselves, and that's something I appreciate. But, is the game any good? Not really, and it breaks my heart to say that because I want to love this game so much. I love the characters, I love the music, and I love the systems it was released on, but I just don't find myself having as much fun as I hope while playing. I mentioned how difficult the game is, and I'm not saying the game is bad because it's hard, because I actually like games that are a bit more challenging. It's bad because the levels have too many cheap ways to die, and not enough extra lives to make up for it. There's games like Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania that have a lot of cheap deaths as well, but at least there was continues to make up for it. You can learn the levels and better yourself. Arcade's Revenge just doesn't offer players a chance to actually enjoy the game, as the gameplay experience is cut too short. Again, I wanted to love this game, but I can't. But those are just my opinions. What do you guys think? What do you think of Spider-Man and the X-Men? Love it? Hate it? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos, you can do that too. And until next time, I will see you guys all on the next one.